He said I could stay, as long as I needed. I didn't know he meant, as long as I obeyed. The month everything fell apart didn't start with a bang. It started with silence. The kind that creeps in when someone stops texting back. When your bank balance freezes at a number you don't want to say out loud. When even the light in your apartment feels like it's watching you. First, my relationship ended. Or fizzled, really. He stopped showing up. Stopped asking how I was. And one night he sent me a 2-line breakup message like he was confirming a dinner reservation. Then the job went. Freelance admin work for a guy who forgot to pay invoices half the time and finally said, "We're downsizing." Cool. Then my lease ended and my roommate informed me, over brunch, that she'd already signed a new place with her boyfriend and assumed I had something figured out. I didn't. I had 2 suitcases, a duffel bag, $600 in my account, and a laptop charger that sparked if I bent it wrong. I bounced around for a bit. Coworker's couch, then a friend of a friend's living room where their dog growled at me in my sleep. It felt like I was shrinking. Every day made me feel smaller, less human. I tried not to panic, tried to make lists, apply for gigs, pretend I was still a person and not some ghost floating between couches. That's when Eric messaged me. He and I used to work together, not close, but cool. He was that guy who remembered everyone's birthday, always brought cake from the good bakery, had an endless supply of dumb trivia and bad jokes. We'd had coffee twice after I left the company. Harmless, neutral. I hadn't thought of him in months. His message said, "Hey, saw your story. If you're stuck, I've got a spare room, no pressure, just until you figure things out." I didn't answer right away. Pride is a dumb thing. I wanted to believe I could fix everything on my own. But 3 nights later, sleeping upright in a friend's car with my legs cramping and my phone at 4% battery, I texted back, "Are you serious?" He replied instantly, "Of course." He picked me up that evening, helped with my bags, didn't make it weird, showed me the guest room like it was an Airbnb. "Stay as long as you need, no strings," he said. I've been there. I cried in the shower that night. Not ugly crying, just that silent kind where your whole chest aches and you don't even know what for. Maybe relief, maybe shame, maybe everything. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't scared of the next day, and that alone felt like a miracle. The first week at Eric's place felt like coming up for air after drowning in slow motion. He kept it casual, easy. We shared the kitchen, took turns with the dishes, and I tried to make myself useful. Bought groceries with the little I had, wiped counters, kept my stuff neat. He cooked most nights, and I offered to help. But he'd wave me off with a grin. "I need the control. You'd mess up my perfect stir-fry system." He was funny, not in a charming, suave way, but in a dad joke but self-aware kind of way, and it made the place feel light. We'd watch YouTube after dinner, dumb rabbit holes like conspiracy documentaries about ancient aliens or people trying Murray's from the 90s. It was harmless, comforting. I wasn't naive. I've seen enough to know some guys weaponize kindness. But Eric was respectful, never made a move, never got weird, just let me exist. That alone was more than most. He even helped me find work. He posted in a group chat about someone needing freelance design help and passed them my info. 2 days later, I was working on a small project. It wasn't much money, but it reminded me I had value. He said, "Told you, you've still got it." And it hit me harder than it should have. When you've been kicked around for weeks, one clean sentence can feel like a hand on your spine. I started sleeping through the night, started waking up and actually making coffee instead of just going straight into panic. Eric kept saying things like, "You're easy to live with," or "You don't take up too much space," and I took it as a compliment. I'd always been the girl who shrunk herself in shared spaces. Now it felt like someone noticed and liked it. After about 10 days, he said, "This is the chillest my place has felt in years." I smiled and said, "Same," and I meant it. We never defined anything. It wasn't romantic, but it was soft, familiar, safe, or so I thought. Looking back, I think he was waiting, watching, measuring how much I depended on him, how much space I would take if given just a little. I didn't see it then. I only saw the safety, the quiet, the calm. I didn't realize it wasn't mine. It was rented, and the bill hadn't come due yet. It started with small things, the kind you don't even clock as red flags until they stack. One night I said I was heading out to meet a client at a cafe. Eric raised an eyebrow. "At night?" I laughed. "It's 6:30. Still, you didn't mention it." I shrugged it off. He didn't press. But the next time I went out, he texted me halfway through, "Everything okay?" Then, 10 minutes later, "Just checking, you've been out a while." I told myself it was concern. that maybe he just wasn't used to sharing his space. I texted back, all good, with a smiley, but then it happened again, and again, always phrased as concern. Just making sure you're safe, but laced with something I couldn't quite name. One night, I came home an hour later than planned, met up with the client, then stopped at Walgreens. When I walked in, Eric was standing in the kitchen. Arms crossed, jaw tight. You could have texted, he said. Sorry, I replied, didn't think it'd be a big deal. You live here for free, he said. I think basic communication isn't too much to ask. That hit hard, like a slap dressed up as a handshake. I apologized, genuinely. I didn't want tension, but it lingered. The next morning, he barely spoke to me, closed his door a little harder, didn't look up when I said, good morning. I tried to smooth it over, even made coffee and left him a cup. He didn't touch it. I asked, did I do something wrong? And he said, forget it, I just thought we were closer than that, and I felt it. The shift, not in him, but in me, that tightening in the chest, that quiet guilt that doesn't have a name. That night he acted like nothing happened, laughed at some stupid video and asked if I wanted to split pizza. I said yes. But it didn't feel clean anymore. It felt loaded. A few days later, he was sitting on the couch scrolling when he suddenly asked, you dating anyone? I froze for half a second, then said, no, I'm really not in that headspace right now. He nodded, right, of course, nothing more. But the air changed again. Later that night, the Wi-Fi went out. I thought it was the router. I waited an hour, nothing. I asked him if he'd noticed, and he said, oh, yeah, I changed the password. Internet's expensive. I blinked, okay, can I get the new one? He didn't look up. I mean, are you contributing yet? My stomach dropped. You said I could stay here until I got back on my feet. Yeah, he said, finally meeting my eyes. But I didn't mean forever. This isn't a shelter. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it felt unreal. He didn't smile, just kept scrolling. I went to my room and stared at the ceiling all night. That was the moment I knew. I had to get out. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. I started packing that same night, not everything, just the basics. Clothes, laptop, toothbrush, important docs. The rest could wait. I texted 2 friends, reached out to a Slack group I was in, scrolled through sketchy sublet listings on Craigslist like I was trying to speedrun stability. I figured I had maybe a week, but I was wrong. I came back from a client meeting the next afternoon and saw my stuff, boxed, taped, sitting by the front door like a UPS drop-off. No note, just a text from Eric that said, figured I'd speed things up. You're welcome. I stared at it for a full minute, tried the front door, locked, keycard dead. My charger was still inside, my sketchbook, my favorite hoodie. I called, no answer, called again, voicemail. I texted, can I at least get the rest of my stuff? He replied, you can collect it when I'm home, don't try to break in. That was it. I sat in the hallway with my back to the wall, trying not to lose it, ended up crashing in my car that night, parked near a 24/7 gym so I could use the bathroom without looking homeless. I curled up in the back seat and tried to sleep through the ache in my neck. The next day, I called a coworker from 2 jobs ago. Someone kind, steady, the type who always offers water and means it. She let me crash on her floor. I didn't even pretend to be okay. I cried into a towel so no one would hear me. Thought it was over. Thought that was the end of it. A sad roommate story. A lesson about trusting the wrong person. But then my client dropped me, sent a weird, vague email about reconsidering fit. Then another client ghosted. Then a third forwarded me an email. The subject line made my heart stop. Potential issue. My name. It was from Eric, not his main email, a burner Gmail. But the writing was him. I knew it like a fingerprint. He called me unstable, said I was manipulative, claimed I owed him months of back rent, attached proof, cropped screenshots from our texts, a fake Venmo request labeled rent reimbursement, and a long paragraph about how I'd taken advantage of his generosity and caused emotional strain. I stared at the screen, and it felt like my spine turned to glass. I was humiliated, but worse. I was scared. This wasn't a tantrum. This was sabotage, targeted, precise. He wanted to ruin me professionally, make sure I had nowhere else to go, and the worst part? He was good at it. He knew how to sound just credible enough, just logical enough. I didn't even know where to start, but I knew this. I couldn't do nothing. I didn't sleep that night, just stared at the ceiling, replaying every nice thing he ever said and wondering when it stopped being real. The answer hit hard. Maybe it never was. In the morning, I sat with Jess, the friend whose floor I was now on. and told her everything. Showed her the emails, the Venmo screenshot, the ghosted client threads. She didn't say anything for a long time, then finally muttered, "This guy's a psycho. We're done playing defense." That snapped something back into place. Jess posted in a local freelancer Discord, the kind of space where everyone's broke, talented, and digitally paranoid. "Has anyone gotten weird messages about my name?" she asked. Within 2 hours, 3 people replied. All said yes, all from a similar Gmail name. One of them had gotten a whole damn Google Doc titled, "Why, my name is not a safe collaborator." Inside were fake invoices, oddly worded accusations, and random screenshots of our texts stitched together with no context. It read like a Reddit post written by a narcissist. I felt sick. But I wasn't alone. Jess had a friend named Mia, worked IT for a local startup, not a hacker, but fluent in digital trail hunting. I asked for help, she said, absolutely. She walked me through how to pull email headers, check IPs, cross-reference metadata. One person had kept the full email chain. Mia scanned it and grinned. Boom. IP block traces to a Comcast router 2 buildings from your old place. That's not conclusive, yet. But it gets better. Another doc had a last edited location, a coffee shop 2 blocks from Eric's favorite co-working space. We were closing in. I kept going, checked LinkedIn. Found a fake profile with my name but slightly altered. Same photo. It had viewed mine 3 times. No connections. Just watching. I posted on a private Facebook group. One of those huge city rental forums where people talk about scam landlords, abusive roommates, housing horror stories. I kept it clean. No names, just details. "This happened to me, please be careful. If you get any emails about me, please reach out." I didn't expect much, but it blew up. 200 plus comments in a day, people offering support, screenshots, stories. One person said, "I know this guy. He did something similar to a friend 2 years ago." Same tone, same lies. Another said, "He worked in my co-working space." Bragged about cutting people off the right way. Total control freak. I started bookmarking everything, printing screenshots, building a folder, and then, in the middle of all that, I got a DM. The kind that makes your chest go still. "Hi, I think you might be talking about my brother." Her name was Rachel. Her profile was real. Her tone was calm. "I'm not coming at you," she wrote. "I just want to understand. Please don't panic. Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. Then she messaged again, not to defend him, to confirm. "I'm so sorry if this is what I think it is." I didn't know what to do. I asked Jess. She said, "Meet her, just not alone." I agreed. I didn't know what I was walking into, but for the first time since this nightmare started, it felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the only one who saw him for who he really was. The next day felt like a countdown I didn't sign up for. Rachel and I had agreed to meet that evening. She asked if she could stop by, just to talk, maybe bring something. I asked what, and she said, "Nothing bad, just trust me." I said yes. I don't know why, maybe because of how tired I was, maybe because her tone wasn't defensive. It was heavy, like someone carrying shame that wasn't hers. Jess agreed to stay in the apartment while they came. At 7:04 p.m., there was a knock at the door. I opened it expecting Rachel, and she was there. But she wasn't alone. Behind her stood a tall man in his late 50s, sharp-featured, gray at the edges, her father, and behind him, 2 suitcases, my suitcases. My chest locked. Rachel spoke first. "Hey, we don't want to stay long, just, can we come in for a minute?" I nodded slowly. Jess stood in the background, arms crossed but ready. They walked in. The father didn't look at me like I was dramatic or ungrateful or overreacting. He looked at me like someone who already knew. He gently set the bags down and turned toward me. "These yours?" I nodded. He was holding them. I whispered, "Not anymore," he said. There was a weight in his voice that made me want to sit down. Rachel looked at me, hands folded. I saw the post. I read everything. I didn't want to believe it, but it all lined up, and honestly it wasn't the first time I felt something was wrong. She pulled an envelope from her purse and handed it to me. "These are screenshots, messages, copies, just in case." I took it with shaking hands. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "You don't owe me anything," she said, "because I've made excuses for him before, and this time, I can't, and I won't." Her father finally spoke again. "We talked, and I don't want to go into the details, but he lied, then yelled, then blamed, and then said the quiet parts out loud. I don't know what the hell happened to the kid I raised, but that's not my son anymore." He wasn't crying. His voice didn't crack. But something in him looked permanently broken. I just want to say, you don't owe him anything, you never did, and he won't bother you again. He meant it, I could feel it. They didn't stay long. Rachel gave me her number, said I could call anytime. Her father didn't say another word, just gave a quiet nod and left. When the door closed, I sank to the floor and sat with my back to the wall, arms wrapped around my knees, heart pounding with something I couldn't name. Jess sat next to me. That was intense. She said. I nodded, couldn't speak, not yet. I wasn't sure what to call the feeling inside me. Relief, closure, power, maybe just breath. Full, deep breath for the first time in weeks. That night, I opened the envelope. Inside was everything, proof, evidence, and a note that just said, I hope this helps, R. At 2:11 a.m., I got a final message from a new number, just 2 words. You win. I stared at it, thought about replying, then typed back, no, I survived, and blocked him. I didn't post about it again, didn't reply to comments or explain the ending. Some people messaged asking if I was okay. I said, getting there. That was the truth. Getting there meant relearning how to sit still without flinching at every notification. Getting there meant sleeping through the night without checking locks twice. It meant finally moving my things, all of them, into a room that was mine again. A door I could close. A space where no one waited on the other side. I started freelancing again slowly. Jess helped me rewrite my portfolio. We deleted old client names, rebuilt my references, scrubbed every trace of Eric's poison out of my online presence. Mia checked all my logins, helped me secure every account. I bought a new charger. That felt weirdly symbolic. Like, this time no one else was holding the cord. For a while, I still half expected him to pop up again. A burner email, a blocked call. But nothing came, just silence, and that was the gift. I saw a post once that said, abusers don't want closure, they want control. That stuck with me. Eric never wanted an ending, he wanted me stuck, in his orbit, in his version of the story. When I cut the thread, he unraveled. I thought I'd feel powerful, victorious, but mostly, I just felt done. One night, I sat on the floor and opened every file Rachel had given me, just to read them, not to plan, not to fight, just to understand the full size of what he tried to do. I read his messages, the lies, the manipulation, the pathetic attempts to frame me like some kind of parasite, and I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't feel anything. I closed the folder, breathed, and made myself a cup of tea. That was the moment I knew I was out, really out. People think survival is loud. It's not. Sometimes it's a whisper in your head that says, not this time, or a soft thought before sleep. I deserve peace. I didn't tell Eric that. I didn't tell anyone. I just lived it, quietly, on my own terms. Because that was the victory, not revenge, not exposure, not public shame, just this, I'm still here, and I'm mine again. I never got another message, not from him, not from anyone connected to him. It was like he vanished, or maybe just faded into whatever shadows people like him crawl back to when the spotlight burns too hot. I didn't chase updates, didn't check his socials, didn't want to know where he went or what story he told next. Some monsters don't need tracking, they just need distance. A few weeks after everything, I got a text from an old client, someone I hadn't even realized ghosted me back then. Hey, sorry for the delay, we'd love to bring you onto a project this quarter if you're still available. I stared at it for a long time before replying, sure, let's talk. Not eager, not desperate, just steady. I'm not fixed, whatever that means. I still flinch when someone says, you're lucky I helped. I still get a stomach knot when my phone rings from an unknown number. But now I notice it, now I name it, and that makes all the difference. I don't shrink anymore. I don't apologize for taking up space. I don't believe help is love just because it comes with a smile. And when someone offers kindness, I don't just ask, why, I ask, will you weaponize this later? Sounds dark, maybe, but it's not fear, it's self-preservation, it's wisdom, it's mine. I changed the lock screen on my phone. It used to say, try again. Now it says, you don't owe anyone your survival. One afternoon, I passed the cafe where I met that first client Eric introduced me to. I thought about going in, didn't, not because I was scared, just because I had somewhere better to be. I was already walking forward. No flashbacks, no speeches, just movement, just breath. That's the thing. No one tells you, after someone tries to ruin you, surviving looks boring from the outside, but inside, it's everything. It's the music back on. It's the quiet that doesn't feel haunted anymore. It's choosing yourself in 100 tiny ways, and it's enough. I'm enough, and I don't need a new beginning. just a clean now. Subscribe, hit the like button, and explore more fascinating stories.